Hello, my name is Marcin, and I'm a software engineer at Red Hat and also master's degree student at Faculty of Informatics, Masaryk University here in Brno. And in today's lightning talk, I would like to tell you more about my master's thesis. What have I modified in SELinux, or whimsE for short? So, why would you need something like that? First of all, SELinux policy in modern distributions like Fedora is really complex. It consists of more than 400 policy modules and other policy parts. But even though the policy is so vast, it can't possibly cover every combination of configuration, software, and hardware. Therefore, sometimes you need some modifications to your distribution's SELinux policy. And who of you ever poked around in the SELinux policy in your system? And who of you ever did some modifications in your policy and then forgot about them? Me too, definitely. So, as you can see, managing these modifications is also an important problem that we need to solve, and relying on your good practices like documenting your changes so you don't forget about them is not good enough. What could you do before my tool that will help you with that? You could possibly use sediff that will compare the output kernel binary policy that is loaded in the SELinux kernel module. But that is a bit complicated because it takes a long time to get the output, several minutes, and also it takes more than 9 gigabytes of memory for the current Fedora policy. And even then, the output you get is a list of rules, but as you remember, there are 400 modules in the policy, but sediff will only output the list of rules, not the source where those modifications took place. And also, these rules could be generated during the policy linkage, or some modifications in the policy could be hidden in the real loaded policy due to dependencies. Or you could do it manually and go through every one module from the 400 and compare them manually. But in both of those options, you need to find some reference that you want to compare to yourself. So, whimsE, or what have I modified in SELinux, helps you with that. First, it searches your system and installs packages for all the packages that bring some part of the SELinux policy. It can be, for example, SELinux policy targeted, or also DSP policies, for example, for snapd or svtpm. Then it downloads those packages for comparison. If it cannot find the exact version that you have installed, it will download the newest one and also give you a warning about that it was comparing 2 different versions. However, that brings us a new use case for this tool. You can use it to force it to download the newest packages and then get the difference between your current running policy and also the most latest policy in the distribution. So now, when you know in which packages the policy is, you can gather gathers information about the policy in your active system policy and also the policy in these packages. Then it compares these 2 policies by parts, so that is by modules at the same priority and other parts of the policy, and also it compares modules at the highest available priorities, so you can get the effective difference in the policy. Next, it analyzes these changes and tries to match and find some AVC messages in your audit log. For example, some denials that could be caused by these modifications. And lastly, all this information is output to a structured report. It can be either a JSON report or HTML or plain text. The JSON report is best for transferring to another system where you can later analyze it. And the JSON report can be also converted to a plain text or HTML one later without running the whole process again. So let's take a look at an example. Here I have a few modifications to my system. First, I added Apache module override, where I removed the read permission for the HTTP server to read the default index HTML page. Then I created a new module called example, where I added two rules. One is denying every user domains to create symbolic links in the SSH directory, and also another rule that will force every write to the same directory to be audited. That is included in the audit log. Lastly, I also included some change to file contexts and booleans. So, with these modifications, we can run whimsE, and after only 10 seconds and only 100 megabytes of your memory, when you compare that to several minutes and 9 gigabytes, that sounds really good. You have your structured report, and you can take a look at this report, what's there. So, first, you can see there is some table of contents. As with many modifications, the report can be very long. Therefore, there's a table of contents with local modifications, policy modules, and lastly, results from the analysis. Here, there are only few changes in modules in my system, so therefore the report is shorter, but you can always select to output the full report through a command line option. There you will see every module that is installed, even though it might be unchanged. Next, there are these two modifications in the booleans and the file context that I mentioned previously, and also the Apache module override. Here you can see I added the override at priority 400, and there is no Apache module at the priority 400 in the distribution policy in the packages. But also, it compares the Apache module at the 400 with the distribution module at the priority 100 to get the effective difference between these two modules. As you can see, there are only a few changes. And also, each change is linked with the context where the change in the CIL file is located, and also if there is any parent statement in CIL. Lastly, there are results from the AVC analysis. Here you can see an AVC denial for the Nginx HTTPD server that's trying to access index.html default page when I was accessing the port 80. And here we can see that the read operation got denied. And whimsE found three possible causes of this denial. One is that there was removed a low rule with the exact types as in the AVC denial, but also whimsE expands the types in the AVC to type attributes, so it finds two more possibilities what can be the cause of this AVC denial. That is, removed allow rules that contain the type attribute with that type from the AVC, not only the type itself. So, where you could get it? You can check it out on my GitHub page, repository, and also download it from Fedora Copper. There are builds for Fedora 40 and newer, and also Apple 10. There are plans to include it in the official Fedora repositories, and later also in CentOS and RHEL. So, thank you for your attention, and feel free to ask any questions either now, or you can email them at either of my emails or contact me via Metrics. Thank you. Yeah?
You mentioned there was some like built-in did something similar, but it was like really slow.
Yeah, the question is, there's like an existing tool that could do something similar. Yeah, there exists a tool called sediff. Sediff is part of the settools tool collection, but its use case is similar. It can compare only two kernel binary policies. They are the result of the policy compilation from each of these 400 modules into one single binary that is then loaded into kernel. And also, it is really slow because it works by expanding all type attributes and rules into individual rules. So, and it's also written in Python. Yes, another question? Can you specify it more? So the question is that you can create a override in file context without creating a module, if I understand it correctly. Yeah. It also includes that, if I go back to the example policy modification. So this file context is in the file context local that was added with the semanage command. And also this Boolean modification also with semanage command. And those are included in the report under the local modifications section. Any other questions? So the question. So the question is that you can also create an individual domain and mark that one domain as permissive. That is, if I remember correctly, that can be done by till rule, in module. Yeah. So all modules, the whimsE scans all modules in the local active policy and also all modules into distribution packages. So it will find this modification if there's any. Thank you. Any other questions? Oh, yeah? Yes, so the question is future plans. There are also plans. First, we need to get it Fedora, and then RHEL and CentOS, and then there are plans to include it in SOS report. So it can be helpful for example, for debugging some problems or where customers have some problems with the policy, that they don't remember the modifications, or they think they don't have any modifications, but they all actually do. So it can help them, either developers or customer support representatives, if that. There are also possibilities to include it in some certification tools that will check if the policy has been modified or it only contains the distribution that has been developed and supported.
One possible thing you might want to look at is to compare policy before an update, before and after an update, with a nice report of modules that are on the system.
Yeah, so the question was that we could also compare the modules before and after update. And there is a feature like that. As I mentioned before, whimsE needs to download the packages, but sometimes the repository might not contain the exact version of the packages that is included in the system. So it will download the newest one and issue a warning about that. But there's also a command line option that you can force it to download only the newest packages, and you can then get the difference between your current policy and the latest in the distribution archives. Any other questions? We are also out of time, maybe.